I remember when I walked into my classroom, I ended up seeing the girl that I did the night before, and she ended up walking up to me saying, Baba, I had a really good time last night doing the Devil's Tango. And then out of nowhere, I'm not even joking, like 6 minutes later, another girl ends up walking up to me, and she legit asks to get my number and wants to do the Devil's Tango with me. And it felt like it got to the point where I did basically every girl in my class. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name is Bubba, and welcome back to another insane but crazy story. Today's story all takes place back in my grade 11 year, and I'm not gonna lie, grade 11 was one of those years that was honestly a blur. I know it was like in the middle of like high school, but I'm gonna be honest with you, I just really did a lot of stuff that I sometimes regret. But this one specific time, I wasn't sure if I would regret it or if I would just learn from it. But I remember my grade 11 year, I ended up taking this class called graphic design, where basically I ended up learning like how to edit videos and use Photoshop for different things. And honestly, I was actually really good at it. And I can easily say that everything I learned in that class, I actually still use to this day for making these videos. But I remember in that class, I was passing with flying colors, and I was doing really, really good, to the point where actually people would walk up to me and ask me for help since I was really good at what I was doing. But I remember out of nowhere, there was one girl that was sitting across from me in the class, and I remember she would always kind of like move her head over and ask me questions since I was literally sitting across from her. And I always did help her out because she was kind of cute. And then one thing led to another. She actually ended up passing her phone one time to me and said, hey, Bubba, why don't you like put your number in there? Yeah, okay, sure, I can do that. I ended up giving her my number, and well, one thing led to another. Me and her, we started talking outside of class. And I remember me and her, we always got into like different conversations about life and stuff. I think like every teenager has done that with a certain girl that had a crush on them. But then this is the part where things get insane, because I remember she ends up texting me that she wants me to come over, and I didn't know what to do. It was really out of the blue, and this was when I was at home playing Call of Duty after school ended. And as I'm just sitting there thinking, should I really go do this, girl? In my mind, I thought, you know what? I've done worse. And if you guys have watched the channel, you guys would know I've done a lot worse. So I ended up basically getting inside my car, and I ended up driving down to her place. And when I got to her place, I remember me and her, we had a good time, and well, one thing led to another. I'm not gonna lie to you, we ended up doing the Devil's Tango. I remember I had a really good time, and honestly, I don't regret it. She was actually a really nice girl and everything, and to be honest, I wasn't complaining. But the next day, when I went back to school, things got really weird, because I remember the next day, I went back inside my classroom for graphic design, and out of nowhere, as I sat down, I ended up seeing the girl I did the night before, but then another girl ended up walking up to me. She walked up to me and started like kind of flirting with me, and the girl that sits across from me that I did the night before saw it all go down. But this girl that walked up to me, she walks up to me and says, hey, Bubba, I was wondering, like, I know you're doing really good in this class, and like, I was hoping, like, I have a computer at home. Would you mind like helping me out? I mean, yeah, if you really need it. Yeah, like, I seriously like don't want to fail, and like, I know you're doing really well, and like, you know everything on computers, obviously, so can you like help me out, please? At that moment, I said sure, and then she ended up walking away, and I could just see the girl across from me's face just being like, what? It was really awkward, but none of us ended up making a scene. And I remember after school that day, I ended up basically walking up to my car, and girl number two, aka the girl that just asked me to help out today at her house, ended up walking up to me, and she basically told me that she needed a ride back to her place. So she went in my car, and me and her, we went back to hers, and well, same thing as before. We started talking, we started flirting, we ended up going into her bedroom when we got to her place, and yeah, we ended up doing the Devil's Tango with her. Now, this was the second girl I did in my class, and honestly, I started to think in my head, okay, how am I gonna make these two girls avoid each other just so I don't get in trouble? Because if girls start talking to each other about how they both did the same guy, chances are they're gonna start some major drama in my high school. So while me and her were laying down beside each other in bed, I ended up basically turning towards her and said, yo, I just want to let you know, like, you know the girl that sits across from me? Huh? What? Oh, yeah, like in class? Yeah, her. I'm not gonna lie, bro, like she has like a massive crush on me, and like if she knows like me and you were like a thing, you know what I mean? Like she's gonna get really upset. Oh, why? Like, would it make her jealous? Well, not only that, but like she'd just be weird about it. So like, just for all of us, can you not say anything to her? She ended up agreeing, and well, one thing led to another. I thought I was safe. The next day when I went back to school, I remember I walked inside my graphic design class, and my teacher was doing a unit on like photoshopping and taking away backgrounds of certain images. It was a really weird unit, but I remember I was just doing the schoolwork and basically finishing as fast as I can, since, you know, it's really easy stuff for me. But then out of nowhere, another girl ends up walking up to me, and she says, hey, Bubba, what you up to? Just doing the unit. Why? What's going on? Oh, well, I'm gonna be honest. I was just wondering, do you like coffee? Coffee? Yeah. Oh, well, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I always thought you were cute when we got into this class, and like, I was hoping like maybe like me and you could like, you know, go out for coffee sometime. At this moment, I remember I ended up seeing the girl that was sitting across from me, and the other girl that I did the night before, basically like further away, staring at me while this girl was talking to me. And I had no idea what to say, and I kind of stood there going, yeah, sure. When do you want to go for coffee? We ended up up agreeing after school that day, which was no surprise because we weren't going to go for coffee in school. And while me and her after school, we did that exact thing. We ended up going to my car. We ended up driving to the nearest cafe and we ended up talking, hanging out. And I think you guys know where this goes, but it's pretty repetitive, where basically she offers to go back to her place and we do that and go into her bedroom and do the Devil's Tango. This was the third girl in a row I did in my classroom. And I'm not gonna lie, my graphic design class was not that big. Like there was only like, I think like 12 students and like 4 of them were girls, not including the teacher, obviously. But after me and this girl did the Devil's Tango, I was worried that this girl was gonna start yapping about basically the other 2 girls that I did. And basically they're all gonna figure out that I did the Devil's Tango with all 3 of them. So I start to panic and I did the same thing that I did last time, where I said, hey, like, you know, there's 2 girls in our class. What? Who? Oh, like the girl that sits across from me and the other girl that like sits like kind of near me, but like not that close. Yeah. Why? What about them? Well, like, I don't know what it is, but they keep staring at me really weird. And like, I think they like me. And like, I'm not trying to start drama in the classroom. Is it cool if like, you know, you keep us low key? It'll be like a little dirty secret. Yeah, okay, I can do that. I remember when she agreed, I was in such relief. And there was only one chick in the class that I did not do. And I was planning not to do it with her at all. But then the next day at school, I remember before graphic design class, not even during, I was walking down the hallway on the way there, and out of nowhere, this girl walks up to me. Now, this was the 4th and final girl in my graphic design class, and she says to me, hey, Bubba, what you up to? Just heading to class. Why, you coming? Oh, actually, I was hoping you could help me out with something. Yeah, sure. What do you need help with? So basically, like, I've been hearing rumors about, like, you, and, like, apparently, like, you're really good at doing the Devil's Tango. And, like, there's some girls in the class talking about it, and, like, I just want to know. So, like, do you want to, like, maybe go to a spot? At that moment, I knew what this girl was asking, and don't hate me for saying this, but I said yes. And me and her, we ended up going to the secret staircase where a lot of people would do the Devil's Tango. And it was, like, my go-to spot to do it at school. And me and her, we ended up doing the Devil's Tango. And I remember, after we finished, we still had time to get back to class, so me and her, we ended up walking back into the classroom together, and when we did, that was the biggest mistake ever. Because I remember my teacher ends up looking at us saying, why are you guys both late? That makes no sense. And then that's when one girl, the one that sat across from me, stood up and said, wait, what? Why were you hanging out with her? And then afterwards, the other girl that sits near me that I did on the second day stands up and says, wait, why do you care? Like, why are you so jealous? Just let him be. And then afterwards, the other girl, the third girl, she stands up and she's like, okay, both of you guys keep staring at him and you guys are making him feel weird. And then that's when this final girl ends up looking at all of them and says, well, you do realize we all did him like basically the same week, right? At that moment, all the girls just look at each other and they're like, wait, what? And that's when I knew I was caught, and I ended up getting actually detention for basically doing the Devil's Tango with all these girls in my class. What can I say? I was a major player, but honestly, like, come on. Like, would you guys get detention for doing that? Because if you guys would, then fall for more embarrassing stories just like this one. Peace out, guys.